I'm here at the Taipei Bike Show, which is Asia's largest cycling trade show. I'm on the hunt for the hottest new cycling tech. So, let's go find it. Cool new piece of tech here that's actually won an award at the Taipei show. So this is the Zero Drag Silent Hub from Foss Worldwide, and well, I think I'm going to show you what it does. So I'm going to turn the pedal here. Nothing especially remarkable about that, but when I stop turning the pedal and let it freewheel, it's silent. There is no freewheel ratchet sound. So it has a special kind of freehub design where the ratchet is able to disengage and then go into silent mode, as you can see here. And because you don't have the added friction of that ratchet still engaged as you would in a traditional freehub mechanism, there's much less friction. And so that's why you can see this wheel is just continuing to spin and maintain its inertia, because it's now just running on the bearings and there's no drag there. So that is, well, it's just continuing to spin. I mean, you could stand here all day. I mean, go make a brew, come back, and this would still be spinning. For display purposes, this rig doesn't have a full cassette on, but you could fit a full cassette on there still. But it's really interesting to think that we'd be riding along with silent freehubs. I mean, you wouldn't be able to hear if someone was behind you and they were sat on your wheel just coasting. They'd be silent, stealth mode. Another really exciting product here at the Taipei Bike Show are these DigiRIT carbon chainrings. Now, everyone loves a carbon chainring. They're quite possibly one of the most bling things you could put on your bike. But in the past, carbon chainrings have been kind of form over function, and there is a tendency for them to be a little bit brittle, flexible, and for the teeth to splinter. But DigiRIT reckon they've solved that problem with a brand new manufacturing process that really is quite innovative. So using a heat compression molded technique, they actually have the chainring as a single carbon piece, and the teeth are compression molded there and then cut out and machined. But there's no structural weakness in the teeth as you would get on a traditional carbon chainring. But the interesting thing here is that they're not saying that this is a super light chainring, which is what you might expect from a carbon chainring. In actual fact, the main advantage of this kind of chainring is its lateral stiffness. And as a result, DigiRIT reckon that these are really popular with track riders where there's huge amounts of torque and huge forces involved. Because, I mean, well, I'll have to pick it up and show you. One of the hottest new bikes at Taipei is this, the Lux 795 Blade RS aero bike. Now, this is Lux's latest aero bike, and it's got some really cool features. So Lux has aimed to make this more versatile and more comfortable than existing aero bikes. And one of the key areas it's done that is with the seat post. So Lux's previous aero bikes tended to have an integrated seat post that you had to cut to length, and then you had a few little spaces on top to fine-tune your saddle height. But this offered quite a few limitations. If you wanted to travel your bike, you couldn't take your seat pin out, or if you wanted to sell your bike, it limits you there as well. So they've done away with that, and they've got a traditional seat post that slides inside the frame. They've also lengthened the effective seat post length as well, which improves compliance and deflection of that seat post to make it more comfortable. But my favourite thing about the seat post is that the top of it here is actually adjustable, and this means that you can alter the fore and aft position of the saddle relative to the bottom bracket. Why is this important? Well, it means that you can replicate a TT bike geometry on the road bike. So what you could do is stick some tri-bars on the front, or you could get Vision's new cockpit and stick that on the front, flip the seat post so the saddle's more over the bottom bracket, and then you've effectively converted your road bike into a time trial bike, which you can convert it back into a road bike when you don't want it as a time trial bike. It's like 2-in-1, which is great. Like any cyclist, I love a good pair of sunglasses, but these new glasses from TryOn, they're not any old glasses. Oh no, they've got a clever feature built in. So you may have noticed this little black bit here And that is actually a rear view mirror. So I can see what's behind me over my left-hand shoulder. How clever is that? It's one of those things where people think, how has no one thought of this before? So the idea is, it's like having a rear view mirror on a car or a motorbike, and just makes it a little bit safer rather than having to always look over your shoulder. You can carry on looking forwards. And if you're in a part of the world, such as the UK, where we drive on the right. Do we drive on the right in the UK? Well, we drive on the other side, and you can actually get the mirror on the other side of the glasses as well. So interesting. And they're available in, well, white or black. But I think that's a really neat and simple idea. And also, as an added bonus, if you're a secret agent, these glasses are excellent for spotting if people are tailing you. I think there's a guy over there tailing me. Us road cyclists often get accused of liking carbon fibre everything. Well, we do. And this is the coolest carbon fibre thing I've seen today. This is a carbon fibre brake rotor, right? And it weighs just 42 grams. Now, to put that into context, a Dura Ace rotor that's also 160 millimeters weighs 119 grams. So, well, that's about a third, which is absolutely incredible. And being carbon, the makers also claim that it has another advantage over an alloy rotor, which is that it doesn't deform as easily. So you're not going to warp this as easily as you would with an alloy rotor, which is an interesting proposition indeed. But how have they achieved this? Well, the construction is made up of heat compressed layers, but they've actually impregnated graphene powder into the resin. And in doing so, they reckon that this helps with heat dissipation over a standard carbon fibre, which is, well, quite interesting. But also, there is a Kevlar layer that's on there as well, which acts as a wear indicator. So when the Kevlar layer becomes visible and you've worn your brake down, then some small fluff starts to appear on the rotor, and that is a sign that the rotor's worn out and you need to replace it. So this is a fresh rotor that's unworn, and then I've got a test sample here of one that's been worn down, and you can see the Kevlar layer there. I'd be really intrigued to try these out and see how they compare to an alloy rotor, but part of me wants them to be really good, because how awesome would my bike look with these on them? I'm over at the Taipei stand. Now, Taipei are masters when it comes to multifunctional gadgets, and I love gadgets, and they haven't disappointed me, because they've got this, which is called the Tubi Booster, and it's a new cylinder that they've developed, which is designed to help inflate tubeless tyres. So the way it works is you get any regular track pump and you pressurise this cylinder by connecting it up, and then you take the cylinder off and you can inflate a tyre. So I'm going to do that now and show you it in action. I've now got the charged cylinder in my hand with 140 PSI banged in here, so let's inflate and hopefully seat this tubeless tyre with a big blast. Let's do it. I was expecting like a huge bang. Quite relieved that didn't happen, but that was incredibly quick and easy how that just seated and inflated that tyre. Yeah, it's just on. Yeah, really smooth. But it doesn't end there. As I said, multifunctional gadgets, right? So if I just release the rest of the air out of here, I'm now going to take the nozzle off the top of the cylinder. So I've detached the cylinder, and the idea is that when you go out on a ride, you leave the cylinder at home, but you can take the nozzle with you because it doubles as a CO2 inflator, which is a really neat and clever idea. So I've put my CO2 cartridge in there, and the neat thing here is it's got the same nozzle on it as the Micro Booster CO2 inflator that Taipei makes, which I love, because you can control the flow of the air as it comes out. So look at this. My thumb's freezing like the Terminator, like the T-1000. Yeah, cool as that. This way, Lloydie's always hogging the camera. I love a bling pair of carbon wheels. And over at the Vision stand, they haven't disappointed. They've got their new 2019 wheels. Plus, this rather interesting disc wheel, although there's not too much information on that yet. I think it might be a prototype. But the whole Metron range has been revamped for 2019, which is really cool. So they've got new rim shapes, completely new rims. Gone are the brake track that was found on the one from last time, and these are now disc-specific rims. There's a new shape, and they've gone wider as well, which is great because it helps the tyre sit wider and is in line with the trend for wider tyres. Also, all the new wheels are going to be tubeless ready, which is awesome, and they're available for Shimano or Campag freehubs and either 6-bolt or centre-lock disc brakes. Oh my God, mate, that's absolutely beautiful. I'm lost for words. Excuse me. This is, oh wow, look at that. Wow. This absolute stunner is the Rhinoceros, which is the top of the range model from luxury Italian brand Piedmonta. Now, the first thing and most important thing you need to know about this absolute weapon is that it costs $40,000. Yep, that's right, $40,000. Now, it's got actual gold leaf on this completely custom paint job, but the frame itself is also completely custom and limited edition. So depending on the size you need, that's the size that it will be made to. But it's also got loads of amazing luxury components, including a fully integrated aero handlebar with an absolutely beautiful leather cover on it, which is, well, straight out of the interior of any supercar. Piedmonta actually have expertise in this area. They actually make carbon fiber components such as wings and spoilers for cars such as Ferraris. There's a lot to talk about on this bike, so stay tuned for another video where I'll go into more detail on all the fancy bits on this absolutely beautiful machine. I hope you've enjoyed our look at the hottest new tech here at the Taipei Bike Show, and stay tuned because we are going to be putting out more because there's so much here to see. And if you've enjoyed this video, then please give it a thumbs up, and if you'd like to see more tech, then why not check out the tech show and click here.